You know what, Micah?
What?
Imagine, if you will, a coach
Hmm.
who is 7-19 since he started his job at the school he's at. He's 7-19 against the AP top 25, which includes a 2-8 record against the top 10 teams.
Oh wow. Yeah, I'm
Which
imagining.
which coach is that?
Oh, I'm seeing. I'm seeing a bald head and glasses and it's that. Yes, yes, that is a look of utter goofiness after every win. Yes, it's James. It's James Franklin. Yeah.
You're incorrect.
Oh really?
That was actually Steve Sarkisian at Texas.
Oh my gosh.
but but it's a very similar sounding story for James Franklin, which is why you pivoted there. Welcome inside, everybody, to the College Fanfair. We both took a bye week last week, along with our teams, Auburn and Georgia Tech.
Yep.
We
Unintentionally,
had
but sure.
unintentionally, but life is lifing. A lot of stuff happened last week, so thankfully we didn't do picks because I 1,000% would have picked Vanderbilt to beat Alabama,
Mm.
just based on the way that Vandy was playing. But anyways, oh, we were wondering like what exactly is going to be the topic this week, and we were gift wrapped the topic actually. So both the preseason number one and number two teams, Texas and Penn State, now have a record of like quickest fall out of the top 25 ever,
Yeah.
and completely justified.
Zero
So
wins against Power Four opponents.
zero, what you said, zero wins against Power Four opponents. Star quarterbacks are going the opposite direction.
Mm-hmm.
Both, so Arch Manning's been the first overall pick since he committed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Drew Aller would have gone in the first round last year if he had declared after the playoff. Um, Neither of them look super great, and like you said, no wins versus Power Four opponents. Texas, which their most recent Power Four game, pretty damning.
Yeah.
Texas loses to a really bad Florida team. Like the DJ look way hype is officially gone. It's done. It's over. And then he goes out and beats Arch Manning. And then on the bright side, that's Florida.
Yeah.
Penn State has no excuse. They go to 0-4 UCLA that just fired their head coach and they didn't even lay an egg.
They just got trashed.
They got trashed. Yeah.
That was a beatdown that would make Joe Jackson jealous.
And I started off the bit with like reading off the stats because someone said we give James Franklin enough crap for having a similar um, MO, right?
Yeah.
When do we start viewing Steve Sarkisian in the same light? I thought, that's actually kind of fair because the last year that he made the playoffs, or both years that he made the playoffs, it was one in the Big 12. We beat up on Big 12 competition, and Oklahoma was having a down year with Brett Venables.
Mm-hmm.
And then another one. Well, no, actually, Oklahoma's doing all right. But, I mean, the Big 12 is always Texas's conference. So,
Yeah.
and then you face some tougher competition from, Michigan, and look what happens there. So, or not Michigan, Washington.
Mm-hmm.
So you go up against Washington, you saw they lose. Okay, fine, whatever. Come back, go through the SEC. They do beat Alabama. To Sarkisian's credit,
Mm-hmm.
um, there's just this problem Texas has called Georgia, Because they turn around and they lose to the Bulldogs, beat up on the rest of the SEC, the mid-tier, lower 20 opponents or whatever, get to the conference championship game. All right, cool. Let's see what you can do against Georgia this time. Nothing. Lost against Georgia again.
Yeah.
Now they had a decent playoff run this time, but they still couldn't get past the final 8. Who's the final 4?
Ohio State.
Ohio State and Texas, and Penn State and Notre Dame. So they couldn't get past the final 4.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know what? It's fair. But then at the same time, I kind of wonder, how many James Franklins are there actually? And are we all just, because Nick Saban and Kirby Smart seem to be immune to the James Franklin rule, are we just, assuming that James Franklin is the only bad coach when maybe he's an average coach? And the standard of average has been changed because of Nick Saban and Kirby. I don't know. But definitely worth considering. So, Texas, I think, had a better loss, though. Agreeable?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Like, okay. UCLA does not have a football program.
No, they didn't even have fans to storm the field.
Yeah.
Which was hilarious. Okay, so next up on the schedule for both of them, I actually don't know because, hang on, because they're not on the top 25. Really more. So both, it's just sad. So Penn State's going up against Northwestern. Texas is going up against, it's the Red River rivalry.
It's Red River.
Oklahoma. Okay, here's the funny thing though. Michael Hawkins might be starting for Oklahoma. John Mateer might be out.
Mm-hmm.
Is this where Texas is back in the poll? What's next for both teams? I guess is where I'm trying to go. Besides win.
If you're Texas, first of all, playoff is out. Right? You still have Oklahoma, Georgia at Georgia, and then Texas A&M and Vanderbilt, right? So
Correct.
You're not going to win all of those games, especially like Georgia's a wash. Okay, Arch Manning plays average against any competent defense that he goes up against. So Georgia will destroy him. So at least Georgia, maybe Oklahoma and Texas A&M both, right? Like either Texas truly is as terrible as they have looked, or Florida could be better than they have been this entire time.
I'm going to stop right there. No.
Florida
they're both just mid. They just had a mid off, and Florida happened to win because of home field advantage.
Okay. All right. So if you're Texas, the season is effectively over for you. Or in terms of you're not going to the SEC and you're not going to go to the playoff, right? Which is shocking. Because again, they were supposed to win it all. Meanwhile, let's go scores. Big Ten. Penn State. Let's see what Penn State's got cooking for us.
So they have 2 more top 10 games left with Ohio State and Indiana. Which, imagine being afraid of Indiana if you're Penn State. I would also go out on a limb here and say there is a 5th game to worry about if you're Penn State, which is Nebraska.
Yeah.
Because, and I'll do the same thing for Texas, watch out for Mississippi State. Both of those teams, they're not really pushovers right now. They've actually got really good offenses.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, these two. This could be a truly historic year for the AP poll, where they voted in 2, 7, and 5 programs as number 1 and number 2 to start the season. Because I agree with you. Texas ain't beating. Should we do win loss? Win loss? I'm just gonna read you the.
Yeah.
Just gonna read them. Okay. First is Oklahoma
Loss.
at Kentucky
Win.
at Mississippi State. Having to think about it.
Yeah, having to think about it. Did you say Mississippi State has a good defense?
I think they have an average defense. It doesn't exactly scare me. It is being played at Mississippi State, though.
All right, loss. Which I think I'm kind of stunning myself, but I can't say win confidently the way this team has been playing.
Vanderbilt comes to town. Yeah. You know, imagine having this discussion 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like Kentucky, Mississippi State, Vanderbilt. You know, right there. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Arch Manning is just like he's made some impressive plays, but at the same time, he has good receivers around him. Right? So it's like you throw the ball up a couple times, and yeah, your receivers will make some plays, and they're going to make you look good. But most of the time, you just look bad, or at the very least, you look uninspiring. So I'm going to have to say, like Vanderbilt, that's a loss.
At Georgia.
Loss.
Okay, so far they're 1-4. Arkansas?
Win.
Okay, finally. Hold on a second. Loss, win. Okay, now they're 1-4.
Mm-hmm.
In this little stretch to bring up their total to 4-6 or 5-6.
Oh my god.
Texas A&M.
Are we looking at Texas not making a bowl game?
Possibly.
Are we having that discussion?
I mean, I think we are. Like, so Vanderbilt, Mississippi State are definitely toss-up games, right? So they could be they could be going either 7-5 or 5-7. It just feels like that's where this is headed.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Like normally in these toss-up scenarios, I would split the difference and say, okay, 6-6. But I can't pick them to beat Mississippi State or Vanderbilt confidently. So I'm hedging 5-7, and I'm in disbelief about it. Like that doesn't sound right. What also doesn't sound right is ESPN has Texas favored against the Aggies still. And that is such bias.
That is a load of crap.
Yeah.
A couple of things playing into this. Break down some stats. So, Arch Manning, 60% completion rate for 1,151 yards.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's decent. If you had if Jackson Arnold had that number, Auburn would probably be 5-0 because of the defense, right?
Yeah.
The problem is for every touchdown or every 2 touchdowns he throws, there's an interception because it's 11-5 completion touchdown interception ratio.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not even the worst part. The worst part is Arch Manning being your leading rusher with 160 yards on the ground. There is no ground game at Texas.
Mm-hmm.
The three-headed monster between Arch Manning, Jarrett Gibson, and James Simon, and Christian Clark, and C.J. Baxter.
Mm-hmm.
That's 5 guys each one has a little over 109 yards on the ground. Who's the guy?
Mhm.
Who is the dude that if it's like 3rd and 3, like who's the dude that just puts fear behind the defense on short yard situation? Like, because there's just not one.
Mhm.
So there's no ground attack. Arch is 50-50. Well, Arch is like throwing a pick for every 2 touchdowns. And there's also this, like, kind of what you said about the weapons he was throwing to. There's no DTS guy down there.
Yeah.
And what a DTS guy is, that's a DTS, down there somewhere guy, where you could just throw it and hope for the best. Arch doesn't have anybody like that. Like, they're good. Parker Livingston and Ryan Wingo, they're good, but only in like designed routes and short, and medium field situations. There's just not a deep threat guy. So, yeah, this is probably a between 5-7, 7-5 Texas team that started number 1. Very disappointing.
Oh my gosh.
So where Texas goes from here with that, I mean, I still think Arch will get better. Like I think his second year starting will be,
Yeah.
because I mean, yeah, let's be a little biased for a second. It's a Manning, okay? Like Peyton wasn't that great in his first year starting at Tennessee, and then he just, the longer he saturated, the better he got.
Mhm.
So it's just, I think if you're Sark, it's time to go hire an actual offensive coordinator. Like, if I told you who runs the defense at Georgia, who do you say?
Um, I know his name. I just can't think of it right now.
Kirby Smart.
Oh, I thought you were asking like
No,
for the
no, no,
coordinator.
no. Like Glenn Schumann's the coordinator, but that's Kirby Smart's defense. He
That's it.
coaches the defense. He calls it. Like, that's Kirby Smart's defense. Glenn Schumann
Yeah.
is just there, right?
Right.
It was the same thing with Nick Saban. If you would go, who's the defensive coordinator at Alabama? People would be like, I don't know, Nick Saban. Oh yeah, same reason, right? If you were to a couple years ago, if at like 2010 Arkansas, if you're like, who's the offensive coordinator at Arkansas? I'd be like, I don't know, it's Bobby Petrino, which ironically it's the Bobby Petrino show again. Sark just isn't really that guy anymore. Like, he's had a good run, but his focus on Arch, it feels like that kind of took away from everything else. And he's split between recruiting. He's like Hugh Freeze, but
Mhm.
actually has a competent passing game. More on that later. It's time for Sark to just get an offensive guy.
Yeah.
Like, preferably one that specializes in the run game, and then Sark can like be the passing game. And I don't know. It's just not working anymore. Sark needs to stop trying to be the guy, and he
Mhm.
needs to either be the CEO or the play caller, and he gets better coordination. I don't know. Different story at Penn State though, which we'll do win-loss again.
Yeah. Oh, this
But
is one of our favorite things to do.
yeah, but here's a couple of things for you. Drew Aller is I on the one hand, I don't know how to categorize him, because like I would rather have him over Arch Manning. Arch Manning has thrown for more yards. 963 yards through the air for Drew, 64% completion percentage, 8 touchdowns to 2 interceptions.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right.
It's just Arch, for whatever reason, Steve keeps telling him, hey, chuck it, and Arch just goes crazy. So, actually, maybe, yeah, I would definitely have Drew Aller over Arch Manning. So I feel like, though, Penn State still kind of has a shot to have a better. Plus, they do have a good ground game, unlike Texas, where it's all divided up. I don't know. So here's the thing. We're just going to get into it. Northwestern,
Win.
Iowa.
Win.
Number 1, Ohio State.
Loss.
Yeah. Number 7, Indiana.
Loss.
At Michigan State.
Win.
Yeah, don't overthink that one, dude.
Yeah, win.
The tickets are going for $57. Don't overthink that one.
I mean, UCLA would have been overthinking.
I mean, that is true. That is true. Nebraska comes to Happy Valley after that.
Win.
Okay. And then Rutgers, they go to Rutgers.
Win.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 8-4, 9-3 kind of team. Again, not what you want out of your number 2. I think though the way Penn State is operating, that's still possible. It just kind of feels like, and stop me if I'm wrong or if you've heard this before. It kind of feels like James Franklin is walking into a hot seat season next year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's got the UCLA loss. Awful. If this was the SEC, he would have been fired the next day. But, like, could they beat Indiana? Like, is Indiana legit? Indiana a legitimate team? Maybe. Who's to say Penn State can't get the upset there and get one, right? Is Ohio State, I mean, you were talking about this earlier. Who's Ohio State played?
Mm-hmm.
Because now their marquee win is like a really bad Texas team. So, is Ohio State fate? Could he get one there? Maybe. It just kind of feels like James Franklin has to get one of these. He's got to get one of those wins, right?
Yeah.
And finish the year at least 9-3. With a win over preferably Ohio State, right?
Right.
Like you got their defensive coordinator. There's no way you shouldn't expect to beat him because he knows everything about him. So it just kind of feels like even if Penn State goes 8-4, James Franklin's on the hot seat next year.
Mm-hmm.
So,
what does it take to get off the hot seat next year? That
you win. You gotta win.
Big Ten championship or bust.
Yeah, something like that. Because I mean, he's only won the Big Ten once, and that was his first year at Penn State. And true story. And then after that, it's just Ohio State's got his number, Michigan's got his number, anybody with a ranking next to him has his number, and it's just they call him Big Game James because he doesn't win the big game.
Mm-hmm.
And if there was ever an opportunity, especially last year, when you make the playoff, and I'm just going to pull it up, their little run that they had. So you beat number 11 SMU in the first round. You beat number 3 Boise State in the second round, which SMU and Boise State, good teams, okay? Not like they made the playoff. And then you lose to Notre Dame by a field goal, right?
Mm-hmm.
People finally kind of just got the assumption. People kind of assumed that, okay, looks like he really is Big Game James. Looks like he's turned the corner. He just needed more time against bigger opponents in the season.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, I don't know. It's the same song and dance all over again, despite all that progression in the playoff last year. Because you have to remember, his only 2 losses that season was to number 4 Ohio State and number 1 Oregon. You go 10-2. I'm just gonna do it again. Hang on. Back into the year. Hey, he got a ranked win in 2023.
Yeah,
number 24, Iowa.
Good for him.
Who did he lose to? Let's see. Ohio State and Michigan. 10-2. Okay, I'm just gonna keep going. Hang on. 10-2. You want to guess who they lost to?
What year is this?
It's the 2022.
Oh, Michigan, Ohio State.
Yep. Okay. Cool. We're gonna go back. Let's see. 2021. They went 7-6. Holy crap. Okay, that was all right. That's the one. That's the weird year.
Oh my gosh, they got into the Outback Bowl because of the playoff. I guarantee it.
Yeah, no, correct. Versus number 21, Arkansas, and they lost 24-10. So, but like, outside of that weird stretch between 2020 and 2021 where James Franklin could only win half the games, October 2nd is Penn State Day because it's always 10-2. It's always to the same two opponents. It's just never the games that matter the most, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what gets him off the hot seat. Maybe actually beat Ohio State.
I
Doesn't
think
matter.
like that's the prove it condition. Just beat Ohio State. You don't have to, like, honestly, I don't think you have to make it to the playoff. I don't think you have to make it to the Big Ten championship game. You just have to beat Ohio State. You have to prove we're not like the Buckeyes' punching bag. Okay? We're not going to lose to these guys forever. We can beat the top dog in this conference. Like, if you can send that message this year, you buy yourself a lot of time. It'll be like, it's going to be a hot seat next year, but it's not going to be as hot. Like, it's not going to be smoking. So that would go a long way in like helping to relieve the pressure. Other than that, Penn State's looking pretty cooked. Because, I mean, Ohio State has been nothing this year, but just they've done nothing but win. And outside of struggling in the first half against a few opponents they should not have been struggling against, they always come back and put them in the dirt. Like, they have kept every team they've played to single-digit scores.
Yeah. I'm going to push back on that a little bit. So,
Okay.
let's say Penn State goes 8-4 this year.
Mm-hmm.
I really do think that at some point the boosters are going to get tired,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like Penn State's a blue blood. We've got championship pedigree. James Franklin's recruited well there, right? It's just at some point you have to rip the Band-Aid off. And it happens with every school. It's happened. We're seeing it happen in real time with Auburn. We saw it happen with Texas. We saw it happen with Tennessee, where they've got a coach. You know, we saw it with I'd say even Texas A&M. Like, you have a coach that recruits well, keeps you competitive, can win, you know, a big game here and there. It's just they're not the guy, you know, and you can find out pretty quickly in the day and age of the transfer portal and name, image, likeness. You can find out really quick if you got a guy or not.
Mm-hmm.
It's just schools will be so scared to fire their current coach because they're afraid they won't find anybody better. And it's like, well, okay, obviously that's how it works. You either get someone who's better or you get someone who's worse. What's the point of trying if you know what you have already? You know, like Philip Fulmer won the national title at Tennessee. Tennessee hung on to him for years after that. And it was always like 8-4 seasons, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he won the national title. And Tennessee finally did just rip the Band-Aid off and said, okay, but enough. And they fired him. Now, of course, that started just a circus of coaching hires after that. You know, Derek Dooley, Butch Jones, Jeremy Pruitt, Greg Schiano for 3 minutes, and then Jeremy Pruitt. But now they got Josh Heupel. Like, now they've corrected the path, right?
Mm-hmm.
Texas, same thing. Mac Brown won a national title. They hang on to him for years after that. Finally decide, okay, we're tired of 8-4. Fire him. Not as bad of a circus as Tennessee. I think it was only like two names, Charlie Strong and Tom Herman. And then they got Steve Sarkisian. You know? More on that later, right?
Right.
Auburn, same thing. Gus Malzahn. Hey, we're tired of 8-4. You know, you can beat Bama now and then. We're tired of 8-4. Fire him, rip the Band-Aid off. And now we're somewhere in the middle of this transition. But, you know,
still trying to figure it out.
We're trying to figure it out. But, like, you have to look at the success Tennessee and Texas had afterwards, right?
Right.
Like, if they had held on to both coaches, it probably would have got worse. Well, but it probably would have, instead of going from nowhere, it would have gone from nowhere to worse. And then, you know, at some point you just have to rip the Band-Aid off. And I think we have seen what James Franklin is. We know what he's capable of, which is good but not great. So, I feel like if it's 8-4 this year, next year is definitely a winner you're fired type situation. That's my hot take. That's my hot
It
take
is
this week.
true. And I mean, at a school like Penn State, I could see the boosters getting
They'd have
like,
no trouble
yeah,
getting a big name.
but the kind of like the message for, Penn State fans and those boosters is his record at Penn State is 104-43. Like
Yeah,
that's a good record.
it's a great record.
And
It,
I know,
worth noting,
I
though,
know you want championships. I know you want to like beat Ohio State. I get that. It can get better. It can get a lot worse.
True.
Like you could easily tank your program and really, really know what it's like to be like what a bad season is. 10-2 is not a bad season. It feels that way because you can't beat Ohio State. It feels that way because you can't, get to a championship. But it's not a bad season. Right? And so like the entitlement could come to shoot Penn State in the face. So I think honestly, the question shouldn't be like, what does James Franklin have to do in order to keep his job? A big caveat is, okay, who do you have that can replace James Franklin? Because you shouldn't fire him unless you know there is a guy on the market out there that can do better. Or at the very least, can't do any worse.
Elijah Drinkowitz.
Okay.
Out of Missouri. Right now, I'll tell you. And has he won a national title? No, he's at Missouri. Okay. Mm-hmm. But going 10-2 at Missouri is the same as going undefeated at Penn State. And he's beaten Ohio State. So,
Okay.
I don't know. Just throw the bag at him. If anything, I feel like what you said, it would be like kind of more of the same.
Yeah.
At worst, right? But you also never know what he can do with better talent and more resources. So, but all that to say, I feel like it's make or break for Franklin next year, and Steve Sarkisian is getting dangerously close to the same territory. So Sark is going to have to figure some stuff out too.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't think Texas will cut him as. I don't think they'll put him on the hot seat just yet because he did bring Texas back to relevancy, and he's the guy that has recruited really well for them. So yeah, they need to get something figured out this year, or else next year will be a hot seat for both of them. So
fun.
Had to put money down which coach has a hotter seat next year. Who are you picking?
James.
Okay, we're in agreement.
Yeah.
Cool. Speaking of coaches that need to figure stuff out, time for the Big Sad, also known as the Pajama Party.
Well, for half of us.
For half of us. Well, there's your transition. That's all I can come up with. So.
All right. Do you want me to go first?
Please do.
All right.
I don't know crap about freak.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is Tecmo Bowl week, which is a great name for my least favorite rivalry. The only reason why this rivalry exists is because both teams have Tech in their name. That's it. Other than that, I feel no real animosity towards the Hokies. I really don't care about them. There was that time back between 2009 and 2013. I guess you could kind of count 2014 when Georgia Tech and Virginia Tech would split the Coastal Division, going back and forth. But other than that, yeah, it's a rivalry of convenience because the only two historic rivalries Georgia Tech plays, Clemson and Georgia, are, again, they're the only historic rivalries Georgia Tech actually plays. Tennessee, Alabama, and Auburn. Those three are much more important rivalries to Georgia Tech that should be revived. Like, my dream conference is the 2 teams from Tennessee, the 2 teams from Alabama, the 2 teams from Georgia, the 2 teams from Florida, and the 2 teams from South Carolina. Right? That would be such a banging conference. That would never happen, but I would love to see it happen. So, all that being said, the Tecmo Bowl is still a better name than Battle of the Techs, and it does make me like a little happier for the game to be coming around. I'm also really happy that Virginia Tech stinks. Coming off of a bye week after kind of a huge wake-up call of, okay, we need to lock in early, we need to lock in hard. Otherwise, we're not going to get to Charlotte. Should be like what this team needs. It's at home, off the bye week. Everything you would want, right, for getting the equivalent of a cupcake within your own conference has lined up. The thing to be concerned about is that Duke has a bye week this week. And we play them the week after at Duke. Wake Forest had a bye week preceding Georgia Tech, and we played at Wake Forest, and that's kind of the factor that played into why Wake Forest did so well in the first half like they did. That's why that game was closer than it should have been. Duke is a much better team than Wake Forest, and Duke is like,
Agreed.
They're going to pay attention to what Wake Forest did and try and emulate that against us. Because we're no longer the underdog. We are the predators that they want to take down. The ones who are hunted. And so that is a very scary position to be in. And it's one that I would love to have long term. Right? Once Brent Key has sustained success and you can kind of like expect 10 wins, expect these like ranked seasons consistently, then I'm sure like Georgia and Alabama and Ohio State, it would be a great feeling to have. This, everyone wants us, but they can't beat us. This is the first season under Brent Key that we have this like experience. And it's really uncomfortable. It's really worrisome. A part of me wishes we had already lost a game just so that the pressure would be off. Instead, with every game we win, the pressure builds. And it's going to keep building until we punch that ticket to Charlotte.
See, I think you still will go to Charlotte.
Yeah.
I couldn't have said it better myself, though, because Duke is currently favored, according to ESPN, to win that game. And I was poking around. I was like, I'm curious if there's, outside of Georgia, if there's another opponent that maybe Tech is not favored against. You're favored in every game outside of Duke and Georgia. Problem.
Yep.
North Carolina State and Syracuse.
Syracuse is bad. I'm going to stop you right there. Syracuse is dog shit.
Okay, but they're playing great right now.
No,
Well,
they're bad.
okay.
They're bad. Okay,
Holy
like
cow. You know what? Never mind. I just looked the stats a little closer.
yeah,
Never
they're
mind.
bad.
North Carolina State though.
They're good.
They're 4-2. Like
Mhm.
that. The games you had to worry about were Colorado, Clemson, and Georgia. That's what I preached, right?
Right.
Well, apparently Clemson is bad, and so is Colorado. Now the games you have to worry about are Duke, North Carolina State, and Georgia. So, but hey, welcome to feeling pressure of a winning program. I wonder what that's like. It's so great. I remember those days, 2010 and 13 and 17. Anyways,
Yeah, I mean,
this game is obviously, we both agree that they're probably going to win it.
mhm.
This is a game where you have to establish the passing game.
I'm going to shock you.
You have to get the passing game going.
We
Shock me with what?
I'm pretty sure we have passed the ball more than we've run the ball.
Haynes King
Mm-hmm.
has 758 passing yards.
On 108 attempts. Meanwhile, okay, all right. So we've still run the ball, really well.
189 times versus 139 passing attempts.
Yeah, but when you add in Philo's, like, that kid's a beast. We have more passing yards than rushing yards.
Yeah, but the rushing yards is the bread and butter right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you're winning games. The pass game needs to take a step forward. And Virginia Tech is a great opponent to do that against.
They are.
It's just because Wake Forest showed, hey, take out the Haynes King rushing element, force them to play a little more one-dimensional, and that'll work. And that would have worked perfectly if they had a better defense. But still, though, you got to think higher quality opponents are watching that going, oh, okay, sure. And unlike Wake Forest, they can actually sustain that.
Mm-hmm.
So, you've got to at least get some tape out there to make them look twice.
Again, actually, the thing about Wake Forest is they did a really good job shutting down the rushing game. Jamal Haynes and Malachi Hosley could not get going.
Yeah, so you need to get some passing tape out there.
Yeah.
So, and Virginia Tech's a great opponent to do that with. So,
I
still think it's 10-2 is like the worst you're looking at right now. Like, I still think you're going to go to the ACC championship game.
Virginia and Duke look pretty good. Like, they actually have better odds to get to the ACC championship game than Georgia Tech.
Based on what?
Based on the fact that both, like, all three are undefeated in conference play. And Duke is gonna... Okay, I'm not worried about Duke. They're going to lose. Like, if they beat Georgia Tech, if they get that upset, then they'll lose to Virginia, right?
Right.
So then the just question is, can Virginia lose 2 games so that Georgia Tech has has the lead with only 1 loss? Because, Miami's going to go, right? Like, Miami's in. They beat Florida State. That was their hardest opponent.
That last year.
That is true. But, I mean, they're playing dominant. So, Miami is in if they can close out the rest of their season. So, it's just a question of Georgia Tech, Duke, Virginia. If Georgia Tech beats Duke, it's a lock, right? And that's why that game is... I mean, every game is important for Georgia Tech. We control our destiny right now. You lose a game, you no longer control your destiny. Like, especially if it's to Duke, you need Virginia and Duke to both lose 2 games. Because Virginia will have the tiebreaker over Duke. Duke will have the tiebreaker over Georgia Tech. So it would go to Virginia. I don't want to be in a situation where I'm looking at Duke and Virginia needing them to lose 2 games. I would rather Georgia Tech just win it all outright. So every game, like, it gets more and more important to win as the season progresses, so that you don't need to leave it up to chance. You don't need to leave it up to these other teams, because you're the most reliable team you're going to have. So you control your destiny. Keep controlling your destiny. Now, that being said, there is a lot of exciting things to look forward to that isn't the ACC championship game. First of all, you just froze. Okay. All right. I'm talking. Okay. There you are. You're back. Okay. I decided to do a PowerPoint presentation in the middle there for some reason. But anyways, Georgia Tech is 1 victory away, which again looks like a pretty easy win, from playing 6 games and being bowl eligible. Like, both Miami and Georgia Tech could clinch a bowl game at the same time, being the first two, unless Virginia also plays, which do they? Nope, Virginia has a bye week. So yeah, Miami and Georgia Tech could both clinch a bowl game and be the first ACC teams to do so. That's exciting. Georgia Tech is also only 3 spots in the rankings separate from Georgia. Like, the gap between the two in the polls has never been tighter in over a decade.
Right.
This is our highest ranking since 2014. And if we blow Virginia out of the water, there is and, barring like maybe, Georgia gets upset next week by bumfuck University or whoever they play. Maybe Tech could get in the top 10, right? The highs of the season are already euphoric. That just means that the lows could hurt all the more. Like, the deeper the sting. So we'll see. We have yet to see this team play 4 quarters of football. So hopefully against Virginia Tech, we'll have more of an understanding of where they're at now versus where they were 2 weeks ago, when they struggled against Wake. And that'll help inform and prepare us for their game against Duke. So that's all I have for my Yellow Jackets. Matthew, gaze into the abyss with me.
Imagine telling us a year ago that there was a high probability the ACC championship game was going to be between the Virginia Cavaliers and the Duke Blue Devils. Like, just imagine having to convince us of that.
Welcome back, Coastal Chaos. Welcome back.
Okay. The never-ending abyss, yes. All right. It's Georgia week, the Deep South's oldest rivalry. Yay. Woohoo. I am so very excited. I'm going to get drunk this weekend. That's just how this is going to go. I mean, like, this game used to mean something. Like, Auburn used to actually win this game every now and then. Auburn used to own Georgia, right?
Right.
And then it shifted to Auburn would win every now and then to now it's like we haven't beat them in 8 years. We haven't won at Sanford Stadium in 10 years. Or no, it's been longer than 10 years now. Excuse me. It's probably like up to, 15, 16 years now?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, will Auburn ever stop scheduling Georgia? Well, no. That would be essentially the same thing as, like, if Notre Dame quit scheduling USC.
Mm-hmm.
Or if I'll think of another good example. It would be like if Florida State and Miami quit playing each other.
Yeah.
It's like it's not the main rivalry. It would be like if Tennessee and Alabama quit playing. Even though they've got bigger rivals, that's a significant rivalry. And no matter how bad one team is doing, they're never going to want to get out of it. And it's called the Deep South's oldest rivalry for a good reason, because it's the SEC's first rivalry ever, going all the way back to the Civil War era. So, no, we don't want to stop playing Georgia. We would just like to beat them now and then. But the past 8 years, this game has it's just sunk in its meaning to me. Like, ever since the 2017 SEC championship game, it's just, I can't get excited about it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
The closest we were ever going to get was 2019, when Bo Nix was leading that comeback, and then if our tight end had just turned around a little sooner and caught the ball, we could have come all the way back to force overtime and probably win the game. But
Yeah.
you know, this game has just kind of become a thing where it's like I will believe it when I see it,
Mm-hmm.
and it's getting harder for me to pick Auburn every week, given how the season has gone. A couple of things though to take into account with Georgia, or actually with Auburn. First of all, I did write in my latest Hugh Freeze piece on Mike Farrell Sports. I did kind of mention there is a small chance, like a distant, far and away chance, that Oklahoma and Texas A&M, which, if you look back on it in hindsight, combined with the rankings, we lost by a touchdown on the road to the number 5 and number 6 team in the country, right?
Right.
Not bad, but we don't have time for more moral victories, right? But like, so I looked at that and I wrote in my piece, I was just not really grilling Hugh Freeze or ripping him a new butt cheek. It's just I was kind of just being like, let's just be real. Hugh Freeze is a good recruiter, and that's about it at this point. And then I just kind of had this thought near the end when I thought of that, I was like, okay, a touchdown to the number 5 and number 6 teams in the country. That's actually not bad. So I put this in there. There's a small chance, maybe Oklahoma and Texas A&M were the two hardest games Auburn had to play this year, and that's it. And they go 10-2 with Oklahoma and Texas A&M being the only two losses. Like, stranger things have happened in college football. We're witnessing stranger things happen right now with Indiana being a must-win game for Penn State. Things happen, and there is a good. I mean, it's not a good chance actually, but there is a chance.
Yeah.
That might be the case.
UCLA beat Penn State. Yeah, okay, all bets are off in this season.
Now, for that to be a reality, these next two games in this 4-game gauntlet that Auburn was set up with, where they basically had to fight 4 ranked opponents in a row. Georgia is now must win.
Yeah.
Georgia, because, well, for multiple reasons, right? Like, at this point, Auburn's just got to get one. Auburn has just been close. Auburn has been right there, but no cigar. Fans are getting tired of it. The players are getting tired of it. And, it's like Auburn's just going to have to shut up and go get one. Like, I don't want to hear Hugh Freeze. If Hugh Freeze gets on the podium after a loss and he says, yeah, we should have run the ball more for the 3rd time in a row, I'm going to throw things. Like, it's gotten ridiculous. Auburn just has to go get one. Okay, you've got the players there. You've had a bye week. It's just time. Auburn's just got to go get one.
Yeah.
Georgia, unfortunately, is your first crack at getting one. Now, if you do beat Georgia, beating Missouri looks a lot more possible.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you beat Georgia, you do beat Missouri by default. And then after that, it's just the schedule of Arkansas, Kentucky, at Vanderbilt. Pretty manageable. So then that distant reality of 10-2 looks a little more plausible.
Yeah.
If you lose to Georgia, Missouri just got a whole lot harder.
Mm-hmm.
And assuming you go 1-1, or God forbid 0-2, Arkansas is now a toss-up because, their defense sucks, but Bobby Petrino's back and he's cooking with that offense. Offense wasn't the problem at Arkansas. Fumbling and the defense was the problem, but
Yeah.
Kentucky still the most winnable game. At least they better be because we've got tickets, dadgummit. Vanderbilt's now a 50-50. Mercer and Kentucky basically become the only two games where it looks like you can win them. And Auburn would be looking at another 5-7 season.
And Hugh Freeze is gone.
And Hugh Freeze is gone. The whole thing starts up. Players transfer. And then, Auburn shoots itself in the foot by hiring some familiar, okay coach instead of going outside the box. That's another podcast, though.
Yeah.
But, But that's why Georgia is must win. It's not just a must win because it's the Deep South's oldest rivalry. It's not even because they've won like 8 in a row over Auburn. Like whatever, break the streak, yes. But there's just so much more for both Hugh Freeze and for Auburn that's just riding on this game. Now, a couple of things going in their favor. It is a home game.
Mm-hmm.
Under the lights. Auburn is just a different team at home. Plus, Jordan-Hare at a night game at Jordan-Hare against one of your biggest rivals, that place is a madhouse. It's a nightmare for other opponents. It's that Jordan-Hare is going to be rocking. I have no question about that. Worse Auburn teams, talent-wise, has taken Georgia to the wire the last couple of years. So there's also that you got going for you. Like, you almost had them with worse talent, arguably, in the building.
Yeah.
Now you've got better talent. You've upgraded. You've had a bye week to correct the issues that plagued you on the road against Texas A&M. I don't really count the Oklahoma game because the main issue with Oklahoma was officiating.
Yeah.
So, I think, yes, there were things you could have done better in the Oklahoma game. Wasn't a worse performance. That was next week at Texas A&M. It was officiating, right? So I'm really mainly thinking of just the issues that plagued you at Texas A&M. You've had a week to prepare to correct those. It's at home. Georgia doesn't have a great pass rush. So
I don't think you need a great pass rush to get to Jackson Arnold.
No, I mean, here's the thing, though. Jackson, well, that's true, because, is he going to hang on to the ball again? He better not after you've had a week to prepare. But, if Jackson Arnold is just playing like he did against Baylor, like if he just takes what the defense gives him, Hugh Freeze isn't trying to force the pass and throw it for 50 times a game. We actually use the running backs. We actually use Jackson Arnold's mobility. And the pass rush, then Auburn's absolutely going to take advantage of Georgia not having a good pass rush, which, according to metrics, that wins you games, right? It's just, and plus, Gunner Stockton, no disrespect to Alabama, or Tennessee. Auburn's just got a better defense.
Yeah.
This is going to be the best defense he's seen so far. And you just couple up all those factors. The players are hungry for one. Hugh Freeze kind of has to know what's at stake. Like, he's kind of got to know, I have to get this game. Jordan-Hare at night, home game for Auburn. I don't know. There are things in this recipe that point towards, okay, Auburn could maybe pull out something like a 27-21 type win.
Yeah.
Am I confident in that? Not as much as I was when we were 3-0. Or even 3-1 with an officiating loss to Oklahoma. It's just, I don't know. If Auburn can beat Georgia, the whole season changes. If they lose to Georgia, I'm just going to go ahead and start writing my next article is going to be top 10 candidates to replace Hugh Freeze. Because I mean, it's just inevitable at that point. So, yeah, that's what Auburn's got.
Well, you do have an X factor against Georgia.
Which is what?
Eric Singleton Jr. Maybe some of that spite he played with against Georgia last year will carry over. And I'm going to tell you right now, something Hugh Freeze should 100% look into doing is using Singleton as a running back. Like jet sweeps, screen passes. The kid is fast.
We've got those plays. I mean, he's done it a couple times. It's just he doesn't do it enough to make me love him. Anyway.
let Singleton do what he does best, which is run. Right? Great catcher, great wide receiver. Kid is fast.
Yeah.
Like blazing speed. So use him to open up the running game, run the ball. Okay? Run the ball, which seems to be like the one thing that every coach this year has struggled with.
Not Missouri.
Not Missouri. Just
Missouri's got a great run game.
just run the ball.
Missouri scares me, dude.
Mm-hmm.
It just I don't want to play them. It looks so good this year. They scare me more than Georgia. It's just
Fair.
Georgia, you know?
Too bad.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. So this is not going to be. I think if Auburn can get a field goal in their first drive, like, don't need a touchdown, get down the field, prove that you can move the ball, and just get a field goal, and the game becomes manageable. Right? Get points in your first drive or first quarter, maybe. Show that the game is manageable. Set that tempo. I think Auburn will have a chance. If Auburn gets shut out in the first quarter, if they go out there and it's just a 3-and-out with Jackson Arnold getting sacked once, then we're changing the channel. Because, fun fact for the viewers at home, we're actually going to be watching this weekend's games of college football in between taking care of some like family items. So that's going to be fun.
That's news to me.
Really? You didn't know that?
Play. We'll talk about this later.
Yeah.
Watching NFL football together. Speaking of watching football, I guess that's our transition to picks.
All right. I got to go get the pick book. I'll be right back. Entertain the people.
Entertain the people. What, all three of you watching? No. Thank you all for... Seriously, though, thank you all for tuning in, though. This is a lot of fun to get to do this with my brother. Even if he does randomly spring family surprises on me. Auburn's just got to get one. Auburn's just got to get one. If they don't beat Georgia, I'm out. I'm out of the Hugh Freeze. I mean, I've been out, actually, what I'm talking about, but it'll get nastier. Anyways. Look who's back.
I'm back. Okay. What do you got for us?
Who's winning?
It's still the same score, so me.
Okay. All right. Here we go. First off, there's a couple of top 25 matchups, so we're going to go in and do those, but let's just start off with our darlings. Georgia Tech versus Virginia Tech, the Tecmo Bowl. Obviously, I'm picking Tech to win.
Yeah, good choice. Good choice. We're both going to pick the right Tech, the true Tech. So that's easy. Next up, Deep South's oldest rivalry.
Georgia.
You're going to pick the Dogs. Okay, then.
I mean, yeah. Auburn has to prove it to me. I'm not picking them in a big game until they prove it to me. So
you're very wise, but I am stubborn. So I'm picking Auburn because I will be cold in the ground before I pick those stupid bum-ass Dogs. Okay, next game.
We got our first top 25 matchup of the day, 12 o'clock on Fox. It's number 1 Ohio State versus number 17 Illinois. Obviously, this is Ohio State. Illinois, maybe Kurt Signetti and Indiana are just that good, and Illinois caught them at a bad time. They're going to have to keep this one close before I believe in them again the rest of the year. So give me the Buckeyes.
Yeah. This is...
Number 8.
I mean, it's nice that this is going to be Ohio State's true challenge and test, and we'll see what the difference is, but they'll still win. Next.
Number 8, Alabama travels to number 14, Missouri. Start thinning out the SEC a little bit. We all kind of wrote Bama off after the Florida State loss.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like that was just a bad time for a warm-up. Also, Gus Malzahn was there. I'm trying to think. Do I want to give Missouri home field advantage? Because right now, if I had to pick between Ty Simpson or Bo Pribula, I'd take Bo Pribula. Plus, Missouri's got a better rushing attack.
You know, that was something Bama had a hard time against Florida State. I'm going to take Mizzou.
I'm also going to take Mizzou. Good point.
Woo!
Okay, so we are in agreement
Mm-hmm.
there. Couple of so we do have the Red River rivalry, and I know that Texas sucks, but we both have to pick it. I mean, it's the Red River. The thing is, I hate picking this one because, like, if Michael Hawkins is playing quarterback for Oklahoma because John Mateer is still injured, I would pick Texas just because Sark does have Oklahoma's number, right?
Mm-hmm.
If John Mateer is playing, well, then it's obviously Oklahoma. It's just we don't know if he is or is not going to be playing. So I really don't know. The last report said he was still out. So right as of right now, it'll be Michael Hawkins Jr. leading Oklahoma.
So who are you going to pick?
Say what you will. Because John Mateer is still not confirmed, I'm just going to go ahead and say Texas.
Okay.
Like between Michael Hawkins Jr. or Arch Manning.
Michael Hawkins Jr. I'm just not impressed by Arch. And I think losing that ranking, losing the ranking is one thing, but dropping this fast and all the expectations this team had for themselves being dashed in a record-breaking amount of time. Like, this is the fastest a team has gone from number one to unranked in the history of the modern AP. So they're setting records this season, which everyone knew they would be setting records this season, just not the records they expected. And so that's they're going to be crushed. They're going to have given up at this point, and Oklahoma's going to capitalize on that. Give me the Sooners.
This could also be their "No, we belong" game, and they capitalize on not having to put up with John Mateer, and they beat Oklahoma in some 17-14 type game.
Maybe
that's just gross and boring to watch. I don't know. If I knew for a fact John Mateer was back, I would say Oklahoma. But every single report says the same thing. He's trying to come back.
Okay.
There's no one out there that has said he is definitely returning. But the week after, though, he is definitely coming back. So, and I think Oklahoma knows that, which is why I think they're going to just go ahead and sit him out for this one because, Arch Manning doesn't really scare them.
I mean, why would he? He's played scared.
Okay. I don't know. Anyways, moving down to another top 10 match. A lot of top 10 matchups.
Good.
For a random Thursday afternoon. Number 7, Indiana, goes to number 3, Oregon. This is going to be my NFL draft game. Because I am I feel like I am going to be watching the battle for who gets quarterback 1 in the 2026 NFL draft. Because right now, every draft analyst and every mock draft says the same thing. It is between Dante Moore of Oregon or Fernando Mendoza of Indiana for the top quarterback spot. John Mateer is like an honorable mention, but he's been hurt. So this game has more than just playoff implications. This has draft implications. Because we're finally going to see who is worthy to go number 1 overall to the New Orleans Saints. So, Micah, given the fact that it is... Now, here's the thing, actually, before I say this. As a draft guy myself, I like Fernando Mendoza more than Dante Moore.
Yeah.
The kid is... Here's the thing. Mendoza was offered a scholarship to Yale to play football. He's stupid smart. Wicked smart football IQ. He gets a last-minute offer to go to Cal, goes to Cal to play there instead, redshirts, Then he finally plays, beats Auburn. I saw that happen firsthand. And then Indiana needed a quarterback, so Kurt Signetti, which this is coming off of Indiana's great year, right? Kurt
Right.
Signetti offers him a spot, and he transfers to Indiana. You see why Yale wanted him.
Mm-hmm.
He's just really smart. Like, he's careful with the ball, doesn't make too many mistakes, good pocket awareness. I think this guy could fit in a lot of NFL teams. Being the fact that it's at Oregon, though, I'm going to give home field advantage to the Ducks. I'm going to pick Oregon.
All right, same. Same. All right.
So,
next.
not a top 25 matchup, but should be a lot of fun to watch. Still, North Carolina State University travels to number 16 Notre Dame. Notre Dame did finally get that big Power 4 win that they were looking for. It's just a question of sustainability at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give Marcus Freeman the benefit of the doubt with his defensive play calling. So I'll take Notre Dame in this scenario, but it wouldn't shock me if North Carolina State kept this one closer than people think.
I'm going to pick Notre Dame as well. I want to pick NC State to make it interesting, but that's just stupid. So I'll pick Notre Dame.
I mean, here's your chance to make it interesting. You ready?
Ready.
Arkansas travels to Tennessee. The Bobby Petrino comeback tour starts in Knoxville, and this is the same Arkansas team that beat Tennessee last year.
I'm going to write down my pick, and then I'm going to ask you for yours.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
Let me just say it at the same time.
I've written mine down. I can't change it. Who are you picking?
Tennessee.
Okay, yeah, same.
We both, I mean, offensively, they're similar. It's just, defensively, they're similar. Tennessee doesn't have the best defense.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like last year when, they had a great unit. It's just home field advantage, bro.
Yeah.
That's what I'm purely going off of. Just for funsies, Florida versus Texas A&M. Does DJ LeGuay just have a thing for Texas teams this year? Of course not. Texas A&M all the way.
Oh gosh. Yeah, no, like this is at College Station.
Yeah, it's gonna be the Aggies. 1,000%. I've got two more for you. So, again, not a top 15, but two really good teams. So it should be a very entertaining matchup and chance for an upset. Michigan,
I knew it.
15th, travels to USC to take on James Franklin Jr. Now, here's the thing. USC's got a better quarterback. Aiden Mavia, all day over Bryce Underwood. And USC, while they have lost, they have not been blown out of the water. They've lost close. I kind of like the Trojans.
You're going to pick them?
I'm going to pick the Trojans in a home field advantage battle for the Big Ten, which is weird to say. This is a battle for the Big Ten.
All right. I will pick Michigan. Keep it interesting.
Cool. And then lastly, before we get out of here, once again, a battle of top draft quarterbacks. It's South Carolina. They're traveling to Death Valley to take on number 11 LSU. Now, South Carolina is not ranked. I think they would be if Lenora Sellers had stayed healthy, but they're not a bad team by any stretch of the imagination, though.
Yeah.
Like, you would be stupid. You would be stupid to count out South Carolina. They are coming off a win over Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
Or, excuse me, they had a bye week last week. So, LSU, meanwhile, and Lenora Sellers is still, he's at least quarterback 3 for me on my board. Sellers is not the problem. LSU, meanwhile, Garrett Nussmeier, I still have him pretty high. He's not exactly top 15 for me anymore.
Yeah.
It's just, is this where Brian Kelly's and loses to an opponent that they should on paper beat? And it is at Death Valley. So I guess that is something to consider.
I mean, I gotta take the Tigers. I'm, yeah.
Yeah,
I
me too.
I
can't.
Yeah.
I can't talk myself into it. Like,
I wish
all
I
can think of
could.
all I can think of for South Carolina is Lenore Sellers. Ooh, that's it. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. There you have it. There's our picks.
Sweet.
Michael, where can people check out what you got going on?
On Twitter, Matt Micah. Don't really post a lot there, so have fun. And then to see like my profession, artstation.com/mwritingava. Where can they check you out?
I do post a lot on Twitter, at the Barning Man. I'm also a writer for MikeFarrellSports.com. You can check out my work there. If Hugh Freeze loses to Georgia, I will crash the website. But in the meanwhile, thank you all for tuning in. War Eagle, we'll talk to you later.
To hell with Georgia.